Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening. Today, we continue our 2021 webinar series with the August feature and product updates from Webex. I'm your host, Joe Wachna, and I'd like you to welcome our speaker today from Webex, Ms. Astrid Gintz, Product Marketing Manager within the Webex marketing team. Now, before we begin, just a few housekeeping items to take care of. All audio lines are in listen-only mode, and there is a Q&A panel for questions, so we'll try to make time for Q&A at the end of this session. So now, without further ado, let's hand it off to Astrid to kick off the August feature and product updates from Webex.
Thanks, Joe, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you all for joining us today. We're excited to introduce, as Joe said, the updates that we have for Webex. Our theme continues to be hybrid work. We know it's a key topic for businesses all over the world. And so tonight, or this evening, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are in the world, we're going to give you an update. We always share with you the safe harbor. We are talking about enhancements that are coming in August. Sometimes things happen. We don't expect that to, but just so that you're aware. Tonight, we're going to talk about updates to the Webex suite, as well as Webex Contact Center. So we're really covering updates across the Webex portfolio, and want to give you a heads up on what you will see in the future this month within Webex. As I said, Webex continues to have a focus on hybrid work. In fact, Cisco made an announcement last week about our plans for hybrid work and how we are moving forward and allowing actually employees and teams around the world to determine when they come back into the office and how they come back into the office. So we recognize that it's still a key topic of discussion, and where it's very true. I know people in different geographies around the world are having different experiences. And so it's clear that flexibility is a key element of hybrid work and being able to adapt to different conditions and allow people to have that flexibility. So let's start by talking about some of the Webex suite and platform updates that we'll be introducing for your use in August. Tonight, or this afternoon, we'll talk about how we're refining meeting and event flows, some additional updates to enable better hybrid work, and we'll also talk about our ecosystem of partners, integrations, interoperability, and integrated workflow solutions. So we've got some updates there for the healthcare industry as well as education, so really timely for many people as they go back to work or look at new ways of digitizing their business. But first, let's start with what's new in Webex Events. Last month, we introduced an increase in scale and capabilities with the new Webex events, both for the webinar and webcast modes. And this month, we're excited to continue on those updates, including the ability to customize registration and landing pages and really make that a lot more engaging experience, but also simplifying it for users. And we're happy to share with you that actually today we are using the new Webex Events platform, and Joe's going to do a little bit of magic. This is a great opportunity to remind you that we have a great panel of subject matter experts today. They're sitting on standby, waiting for you if you have any questions as we go through the material. They're happy to help you. We've got people covering all disciplines today, so they should be able to address it. And as Joe updates the session, we'll be able to see the stage control. So you have the ability to limit who you're actually seeing. And so some of those panelists may disappear into the ether just to give you a larger view in terms of the content and speakers, active speakers. But let's start with some of those updates. So first, we have the flexibility in terms of customizing event registration. And you may have already noticed this when you registered for today's events. In this case, what we're allowing people to do is really create a much more engaging attendee welcome and registration page. So this means that you now have the ability to brand this with your own color theme, logos, speaker profiles, so you really understand who's presenting, maybe even have a picture of them. And as the Webex event host, you'll also have the ability to preview that before you push that live, so what it actually will look like for attendees, both from a desktop and a mobile environment. Again, this is the new Webex Events experience. If you're in Webex Classic, clearly that no longer will take advantage of these new updates that we'll share today. But again, this is a great enhancement to the experience. Hopefully you saw some of this in terms of the experience when you registered for today's session. The other benefit here is really creating A lot of simplicity for hosts. We recognize in a hybrid work environment, more and more people are using virtual events as a way of connecting with internal audiences as well as external audiences. So finding ways of simplifying that and opening up more opportunities to have really engaging events is important. So taking the next step in creating Webex event templates that you as a host or an IT administrator can reuse and make available for other people within the organization who may have similar events, to give them an opportunity to have a quick start for the different types of events that they may host, whether that's training or something external with customers and prospects. But also you get consistency in your approach. You make it very easy for people to schedule multiple events, have some commonality in the approach. So great update there. It's very easy for Joe, for example, to save a template for common meetings that he hosts, or again, to make them available to other people within the organization. All that host is going to do is go to preference, scheduling, and events templates, and they'll be able to pull from that. And Adrian is joining us, and later on, he's going to give us a quick demo of that to really bring it to life a little bit better than just looking at it on a slide. Next, let's talk a little bit more about not just the event, but what it means as people scale these experiences. Events are all about having a great live experience in a virtual environment. And as I said before, we're expecting more and more people to increase the volume of events, small and large, to address new opportunities, to build that culture within their organization. And that really introduces some interesting challenges. There's a lot of information to go through, and the expectation is that when you join an event, you're going to have an excellent experience. It reflects on your brand. It's really important. But how you design that environment so that you're able to deal with that data and able to give people the ability to quickly identify and resolve issues in real time, not after the event, becomes really important. And this is something that we already have with Webex Events and Meetings, which is a very robust support for real-time analytics as well as troubleshooting. And this month we'll be introducing enhanced troubleshooting that really makes some of those key performance indicators very prominent. So an IT administrator can quickly identify any of those participants who are having issues and then do quick one-click drill downs to really see from an end-to-end basis where some of the trouble points are. So as you see here, right, great new enhancements to the search capabilities, as well as having standard sorts by severity, so that there's an opportunity here to look at all that great data in real time and quickly drill down and resolve and give an excellent experience to everybody who's joining that event. Moving beyond events, we continue to have updates across the portfolio. Inclusive capabilities are one that we feel is, again, essential to a great hybrid work experience. So accessibility has been something that we've continued to update and enhance across the portfolio. We have a couple that we want to call your attention to that will be available in August. The first is providing high contrast capability. So this is really more about improved readability. For those who are looking for high contrast, this is available on the desktop. It means that I have that ability to really look at text, links, and buttons and have them be a lot more visible in the app. The second is shortcut keys. This is something that we already have within the app, but we're continuing to expand them, but also make it very simple for people to find them, right? That's the whole point. Shortcuts are meant to be something that's easy to find and easy to access, easy to use. So these are great for those people who want to become power users, or really not have to move away from the keyboard as much in order to get there. So lots of these are available. Now we've made that search and identification more prominent. There are things like Control-Shift-A if you want to turn captioning on or off. Any number of those. So those are available. More details are available on the help.webex.com to go through in more specifics about those, but much more prominent availability of those and easy search for things that you're looking for. And the last one is tab key navigation. Again, something that important in terms of giving people the option to use tab or F6 to navigate through the different panels quickly and easily. So again, idea here is making these very accessible for everybody and really power through and use them in multiple ways. On the calling front, flexibility is really important, and clearly having a great experience when you're doing a real-time call is important. more and more in hybrid environments. I think everybody experiences this, where you might start a call on your mobile phone in the office or in a physical location where you may have Wi-Fi, and then quickly move to an outdoor location. The challenge there is ensuring that you have a great experience and removing some of the drops that might result from changing between networks, whether that is from a Wi-Fi network, from one Wi-Fi network to another, or from Wi-Fi to mobile. Now, for those Webex calling customers that are using Unified Communication Manager, we are in August introducing options to make those mobile calls even more continuous and allow people to move freely without experiencing drops when you change between networks. Flexibility also extends to the way that you share content. And if you are like me, you might often work with multiple applications up on your desktop at any one time. The challenge has been for many Webex meetings users that I have the option of sharing everything on my desktop or a single application. And when you're switching between applications in that mode, that often meant sharing, unsharing, resharing to get just the right application. Now we're giving users the option to select one or multiple files. So eliminating that extra step and giving people the ability to share content from multiple applications during any one meeting. The other element here is giving people an opportunity to continue to have great experiences when they're sharing content. And as you have an active session, it's oftentimes really important to be able to visibly see the participants in your meeting to make sure that you're getting the right kind of feedback, that people are engaged. I see today there are reactions, so thank you for doing that. That's always great feedback. But it's also great to actually see people's faces. Now we're giving people the option to have an active session window. It's a floating window that will allow you to share content, but at the same time see other meeting participants at the same time. So again, another great addition, both for in-meeting as well as calling experiences when you're sharing content. More updates on the mobile front. We are also introducing a widget, meeting calendar widget for iOS users. This is a great opportunity for users who often have multiple meetings during the day. If you're like me, sometimes you miss a scheduled meeting unintentionally if you're out and about. Now with this widget, you're able to see your scheduled meetings just at a glance. It appears from your home screen on an iPad or iPhone, and you can actually choose from 3 widget sizes that best fit your home screen. And in this case, again, meetings are listed in chronological order. There's a quick join button, so we're making it very easy to join a meeting without having to open up the application itself. So again, more options here to make it really easy and take advantage of some of the capabilities within the mobile environment. Another update here is a feature that we've had on the desktop for some time. Now we're extending it to the mobile environment, and this is one that's available for both iOS and Android environments. So now we're allowing people to have the mobile plugin support here of the Outlook add-in. So in this case, it's full support for the Outlook add-in integrations. Previously, you were able to do things like identify or edit meeting times, topics, and attendees. Now we're extending that so that you can also quickly toggle and get a meeting link. So again, great opportunity to give people more flexibility in terms of the way that they're using their mobile to manage and change meeting information. We also want to highlight, I think we've mentioned this perhaps in past sessions if you've joined us previously, but in August we will make Webex Assistant available to all paid Webex meeting users. So this is a great opportunity to really get the full experience of Webex AI to have a more inclusive session. That means extending closed captioning, highlights, action items, transcripts, post-meeting editing and distribution. So really powerful in terms of giving people tools to have an intelligent assistant really assist them. So this is a great opportunity to take advantage of it. It is something that the IT admin will have to turn on. So that is optional. The other note that we want to make sure that you're aware of is that real-time translations will incur an additional fee. So if you're using that portion of it, you will get a fee, but for all paid plan customers, this is an additional feature enhancement that you won't want to miss. Security, also very important in a hybrid work environment. And we've continued to have a strong set of security features to help organizations manage that environment as people work remotely over different public networks, over different types of devices, managed and unmanaged. Clearly, those security thresholds are expanding, and we want to give people the ability to make it not only easy to use, but secure. There shouldn't have to be a compromise in either of those cases. So now for IT admins in August, we will give them an option to configure for their company users security options to restrict the capabilities when they are joining an external, so a partner, a customer, or some other entity who is hosting a WebEx meeting. IT admins will be able to maintain compliance and security by restricting the types of elements that can be done in meetings. So things like chat, file transfer, screen share, annotation, Q&A, and polling are ones that an IT admin can set the policy for users from an organization when they join an external meeting. This is something that is actually keyed off of the email domain of that user. So it will be applicable whether they're using their own device or a third-party device, company device, etc. So again, great option here. You see on the left, the larger image is what the user will see. So a little prompt indicating that they're unable to do it. And then on the right, the lower right, you see actually what it looks like in Control Hub. So again, the flexibility here is not all or nothing. An IT admin can actually set individual features and capabilities that will be restricted. Another security element here that we're expanding, and this is actually features that we have today for the WebEx meeting site administration, now we're bringing it into Control Hub, is more capabilities here. So the ability for an IT admin to deactivate inactive hosts, so doing a little bit of cleanup in terms of how they're deploying services within their organization. The second is creating custom password user policies. So this is things like setting the minimum character set, the complexity, whether it's case sensitive or requires numbers, password expiration and renewal, eliminating things like repeat passwords, and then if there are any customized words that need to be restricted. Again, a feature that we've had for WebEx meetings, but in the admin tools, but we're now bringing into WebEx Control Hub. Next, let's talk a little bit about some of the ecosystems of partners and solutions. So this is really looking at ways in which hybrid work is changing across different industries. So the first is Webex Instant Connect for virtual healthcare. This is really a huge opportunity. In fact, I just saw a statistic from McKinsey that indicated that since the pre-COVID-19 baseline, telehealth has increased 38 times. It's probably something that is here to stay. If you've taken advantage of it, it's very easy. It extends healthcare to more users at more locations. In this case, last year, we introduced Webex telehealth connectors for Epic, a very popular electronic health record system. That is still available. We're renaming it as Instant Connect, but we're also taking it one step further and opening it up to other EHR systems. So again, making this very simple, both for a practitioner or a caregiver as well as patients. This is a browser-based solution, so no downloads, no plugins. And you see there from the slide, lots of features here that allow users to see upcoming appointments, make it easy to join, screen sharing, etc., all included as part of the solution. Excuse me. In the next section, for classrooms. So another industry clearly that has been adapting and changing for hybrid work is hybrid learning, and Webex Classrooms is a great solution both for educators and students. It brings together lots of the capabilities here, whether you're in the classroom or remote. It's also designed to complement existing LMS systems, but it really brings together that experience in a single user interface for an educator, scheduling and hosting classes, one button to push, setting things like office hours, automating attendance, that would be great, I'm sure, as well as posting notes and recordings quickly. And again, for students, a personalized dashboard as well. So lots of great options there for the education space for virtual learning. Those are key updates. I'm going to pause a little bit and allow Adrian to take us through an actual demo, so bringing some of the new events experience to life. Adrian?
Yes, thanks, Astrid. So hopefully you could see me well. And so I'm going to give you a short demonstration on how easy it is to schedule all new events. So in here, I'm just log into my Webex account. So this is my production account. It's not some sort of a demo account. So you're going to see exactly what I'm going to schedule a meeting or event in this interface. So before the classic events, you have a special link, special place to schedule the events. It's really complicated. Now it's just in the drop-down menu in the schedule meeting, you could schedule events, right? So the whole interface is quite straightforward. So you could just put in some of the topics for your events, and please make the right time for your events. And also the time zone is pretty important because will use that time zone's data center or cluster as the home cluster. You have two modes of the event. So webcasting is more like a one-way streaming services, and webinar, so you have more of interactions with attendees. So we could escalate attendee into a live speaker, which could ask questions or interactions in there as well. So let's make it as a webinar mode, and panelists, you could put panelists the email address in there, so they have their own special password. And for the registration part, so it's in this kind of advanced option. And here, so you could set as some of the audio settings and recording session, practice sessions, or you could free for all to join, or you could set as a registration required, right? For registration, you could customize registration form. So we have some basic item listed here already. So there's name, there's email. Sometimes you need your job title, you need the country, you name it. And sometimes you need a customized options, right? So for example, this time we're going to have a event called hybrid work. So maybe we have a question around, are you working from home, right? So this is yes or no kind of question. So we make it a few radio buttons, yes and or no, right? So, and then you could set it as a require, so people have to answer this question in this registration period of time. Actually, all the previous questions will be in your my question list. So next time you don't need to really type in, you could just click the plus, so your question will be in there. All right, so I'm pretty much satisfied with this this result, and I could save it. You could review your form. So whenever they're going to register, it's pretty much all this content are required to fill in. And this time we have the approval rules in there. For example, you want this events to be compliant with only those people from certain company. So you could have email must contain like at cisco.com. And then it will be automatically approved. For those people from outside, you need to manually input or put into pending state. So you could adding as much as rules you want. So making it as automatic processes. And also, so you could, more options for agenda. So I've already copied agenda here, so people could see the agenda before the events. So we could schedule this straightforward, very easy, right? So in here, you could copy the invitation link forward to the attendees, and you could also receive the email, including everything, and could forward the email. You could paste into this, social media. But in 41.8, we have more options to manipulate the registration and the landing page. And here, you could customize your landing page because WebEx, the default theme is dark themes, but some of the enterprise, they prefer light. So you could customize some of the content there. For example, you don't want Cisco or WebEx in there, so you could upload your own logos here. For example, I'm going to upload a TME logo in there, and you could, you don't like the sky, So you could upload for example, a PC. This is a hybrid working kind of theme. So putting some of the related information there. So you could, change some of the background colors. So today I might like some of the greenish type. And you could customize all this text and buttons. Even this registration buttons could be customized as well, right? For the content part, all right, so in here we have the host, we have the agenda, but maybe people, they don't care about the host, but they care more about the speaker. So we could add some of the guest speaker. For example, this one is called Expert, right? His title is TME, so you could upload his picture in here. So in here, I'm going to upload a picture of me when I still have my hair. So here you have the this landing page with all this kind of theme, timing, speaker, titles, and all of those things as well as agenda. And then we could save it, right? So in this way, after you forward your registration link, so people could register. And then, so for example, I copy this link and put it into a social media. So people click the link, they could land into this landing page. So they could register, right? So for example, I'm going to put a good bad name first, right? So this is like nobody, right? So nobody Wang, right? And his email name is just the random email. His title is who knows, right? So, and he really is not serious around this registration. And then there's another, good attendee putting the real information in there. So like, this guy from Cisco.com is a TME, and he's from Singapore, right? So he fill in everything, and he's working from home and registered, right? Then we have multiple guys registered. So before the event, so if you're in your portal, you could see this managed registration. So if you click it, you see there's 2 registration already there. So one is already automatically accepted. So it will send this official links to this guy. But this one has different compliance with our rules. So for this one, you have to manually accept it or reject it. Or for us, we definitely reject this kind of nobody kind of user. So that's pretty much how easy it is, and you could control all this registration and start with your all new events. All right, thank you.
Awesome. That really brings it to life. Thank you, Adrian. I think this is a great illustration of how not only Adrian's great at demos and showing all the great options that you have, but it's easy to use. And I think that's one of the things that we've all seen during this first phase of hybrid work, that virtual events are really important in terms of the experience that you have, and making that more engaging, whether it's for internal users or external users, is very important. So all those tools, super important that they're easy, but also that you have all the richness to set that to be just what's required for your event. Great. Joe, do you want to bring up the slides and we'll continue and go through the next set of updates for August? Great. So that was Webex Events. Lots of good things there, but we also have the ability to give you some updates also on other parts of the portfolio. And for some reason, it's not letting me advance there. The next is related to our Webex device portfolio, another really important component to making hybrid work flexible, easy to use. So in August, we'll be introducing Webex Roomos 10, and there are a number of updates that we want to highlight here. These are for cloud registered devices in shared mode, but we are introducing updates around the a part of the rebrand that we started back in June that now extends into the device experience for users. And the first is really a new set of default icons. They look a little bit different. They're a little bit more rounded. Along with the branding that we have across the rest of the portfolio, there is a new Join Webex button here as well. The other part of the experience is we're giving people more choices in the experience that they have on their devices as well. So new background themes, these can be set by an IT admin through Control Hub or directly on the device itself. You can see on the left how those are configured, and you can choose light, which is, I would say, maybe a more conservative view, or the night version, which adds a lot more colorful options to what your background theme will be. The next part of that updated experience in Roomos 10 is the half-wake states. So today you see on the left a half-wake state on the screen display. So this is before people are, or as people are coming into the room. Previously, we had some color balls that ran across the screen. With Roomos 10, we're moving into a more straightforward approach. You see the screen with text on it to give people instructions. The second is what you would see on the Touch 10 or the Navigator interface to control a room device. And you see, again, we've changed the icons there to be a little bit different, more in keeping with our new branding. So a few updates there in terms of experiences that people will have that I think are straightforward, but also give some choices in terms of the preferred background theme that you might want to use. The next update is one that we know customers have frequently asked for. This becomes even more important as we have people going back into the office. It is more simplified options to do allow guests to share content within Webex meetings. So again, this is supported with cloud registered devices. In this case, what we're allowing people to do is have a very easy process. So no cables, adapters, or clients. It is a way very quickly with the WebRTC client, the share.webex.com, to actually grab that little code and use that in order to share content directly from your device to the shared screen, both in the meeting room on the screen, but as well into Webex meetings. So again, making this very easy for people who may be sharing content, who may not be paired to the device, who may be guests, to give them more options. Again, cloud connected devices running Roomos in the shared mode, very easy way of sharing content that really takes advantage of the capabilities here, both for Webex meetings as well as our Webex room devices. Next up, so those were updates that we had across the core Webex platform for calling, meeting, messaging, and our devices. In August, we're also going to have some great updates around the Webex Contact Center. This is really important, a part of our strategy. We think the best experiences are really delivered by an integrated platform, and Contact Center and the customer experience have become obviously even more important, we know, for many organizations. In many ways, this is where you're building a lot of the interactions that you have with customers and prospects. And this is where a customer experience solution that allows you to connect those customer journeys and experiences becomes even more important. So things like omni-channel support across the channels that your customers or prospects prefer to communicate in, providing contextual insights. So agents are prepared to address customers having more information about what they've inquired about or what they're using in the past. Ones that are flexible, obviously intelligent, important in terms of scaling that experience, and collaborative. In this case, we're also adding more options for enterprise-ready seat paths, so really opening up opportunities to integrate contact center experiences across and customize them in many different environments. Webex takes a somewhat unique approach here in terms of this integrated platform. Things like the Unified Edge and Media Backbone provide great experiences for calling, less hairpinning, and then the Webex Suite Plus devices provides even better options for agents who are working, for example, remotely, and their ability to collaborate with other subject matter experts to really get quickly to a point where they can help resolve a customer or prospect's issue in real time. So what's new in Webex Contact Center in August? We have great updates here in terms of integration of more of our digital channel capabilities from the IMI acquisition that we completed back in February. So this is just the start, but really some great updates there. We also are extending more visual collaboration workflow orchestration. So this is really the opportunity for operations managers within the contact center to be able to create updated customer flows, not having to go to an IT or a developer, really being able to do that in a much more agile way in real time. So that's great. And then we also want to remind you that we continue to expand features across the Webex Contact Center platform. So we have more coverage within the UK and ANZ in the August timeframe. So first, let's talk about that omni-channel approach. Our view is really to give organizations the ability to communicate across multiple channels, allow that communication between the agent and the user to take place in the preferred channel. And in this case, what's new in August is really taking advantage of some of the digital channel ecosystem capabilities that exist with IMI. We'll be introducing Facebook Messenger and SMS directly from that capability. So this is just the start. Look for even more expanded channel options as we go forward. Next is that visual workflow builder. And this is really orchestrating different systems, both in the back end, the core systems, as well as the channels, so that you can do more proactive communication bi-directionally. This is really great because this is designed to be low code, no code, drag and drop. And in this case, what we're doing is really adding to the existing Webex Contact Center flow builder capabilities, but bringing in some of the power from IMI. And in this case, what that means for Webex Contact Center customers in August is that they'll have the ability to take advantage of out-of-the-box integrations for CRM, customer management applications that may be in the back office environment, like Salesforce.com, Zendesk, and Zoho. So great opportunities really to take the next step and have some really powerful experiences that can change the workflow, be much more agile in terms of the way that people can personalize interactions, prioritize them, and more. So great updates there. Again, Webex Contact Center workflow orchestration is really built to be easy to use, to be able to tap into that customer history data from those systems and really create those more personalized experience, and then really automate some of the more sophisticated communications interactions. So being proactive in terms of notification, again, in that preferred customer channel, being able to have more context in terms of past interactions or the type of customers, and really bring in additional tool sets like an integrated bot builder into that environment. The idea here is really to provide an excellent customer experience, and then also to maximize that live agent interaction with more context. So just the start of a whole set of great capabilities that we'll be bringing in from IMI to really enrich that customer experience and connect all of those touch points across the customer journey. Today, we covered a lot of ground, but as always, we only hit on just a few of the updates that will be available in August. And you see here is a more complete listing of some of the ones that we didn't have time to go through today. But more information is also available on help.webex.com, as well as some of the Webex essential resources. We want to highlight again, we routinely have every month some of the training classes that are available to you, as well as lots of additional resources that go through some of the content that we went through today and how you use it, but also some of these other items that we didn't have an opportunity to go through this morning or this afternoon. So with that, that concludes what we have for the formal content for the webinar. I know we've had a number of questions that have been coming through, and I know that our experts have been responding to those as well. Joe, are there any that are outstanding?
Yeah, Astrid, there's a couple here, and they might be repetitive. Maybe someone missed it, but I might as well just bring them up anyway since we saw them in there. Will Webex calling support handoff to mobile network today?
It does with the UCM manager. So that is the updates that we were talking about today. Again, it's using the Webex app when you're using the Unified Communications Manager as part of your calling infrastructure.
Okay, so this is a two-part one because we had a similar one in our earlier session today. It's about Webex Assistant. Is there a cost for Webex Assistant, and is Webex Assistant available for FedRAMP customers?
Okay, so I think, again, the good news here is that we are extending Webex Assistant to all paid Webex plan customers. It is a feature that needs to be turned on by an IT administrator. So it is something that we want people to take advantage of if it is something that makes sense to your organization. The Webex Assistant is not yet FedRAMP compliant. However, we had introduced, I think it was last month actually, the closed captioning capability. So that is an option if you are a government agency who has additional regulatory requirements and you are looking for alternative options. The Webex closed captioning provides you that immediate speech to text so that it's easy for your audience to quickly follow along with the capabilities. Webex Assistant obviously adds more capabilities, but again, we want to give customers options in terms of taking advantage of some of that advanced AI capabilities and really enriching the experience that they have in meetings.
How about one more? Is Webex Instant Connect HIPAA compliant?
Yes, so a really good question, and I really should have addressed that in my comments. I apologize. We recognize with healthcare that the regulatory environment is really important. HIPAA, obviously, in the U.S. is a regulatory requirement specifically within the healthcare environment. Security is a key element, as well as compliance of the Webex approach. So Webex Instant Connect does comply with HIPAA requirements. It is a very secure solution. We're not exchanging information between users, and we're not exposing a lot of the data that is considered private. So again, it is compliant with HIPAA. It is a very secure solution. So if you are in a region that is using other regulatory environments, that is something that we can certainly discuss with you as well. But a great way of really looking at taking the next step with telehealth, virtual healthcare options to really extend that service to more users and more locations.
Outstanding. Astrid, I think that does it for the Q&A. Like you mentioned earlier, a ton of it has been answered already by all the other panelists and stuff like that, so we've addressed a lot. But I think that should do it, unless you had any further closing comments or thoughts about today's presentation.
That's it. I want to thank our panel of experts. They did an outstanding job in Adrian's demonstration. We thank you all for joining, and we hope that you get an opportunity to use some of the new features.
Outstanding. Hey, like Astrid just said, on behalf of our guests, the entire Cisco Webex team, everybody, thank you for your attendance and your participation today. That concludes our webinar today. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.